Welcome, Spartans, to Halo TV Plus, part of Evolved, your home for Halo. I'm your host, Oran, and on Halo TV Plus, my guests and I recap Halo's original television show, Halo the Series, and discuss its contents and unique canon within the Silver Timeline. Joining me tonight for the season finale of Season 2, Episode 8, Halo, is Nathan. Welcome to the show, Nathan.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here.
Yes, you are a longtime listener and a guest star on several of our podcast shows every now and again, so it's great that you're making your debut on Halo TV Plus. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's great to be here, and I feel very lucky to be chosen to cover the finale with you. There's lots to talk about, so I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Yes, there is quite a lot to talk about. A lot of things happen. They really wrap things up. I mean, they leave some things open-ended, but they definitely did a full sprint at the end here. And I think it's very positively received across the community with some minor gripes here and there. But I think it was a very strong season finale. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching it with you and discussing it and analyzing it and then looking back at season 2 as a whole on episodes to come.
Absolutely.
So to dive in, if you're a new listener and just joining us after seeing the show, welcome to Halo TV Plus. This is our commentary episode. We produce a commentary and an analysis episode for each episode of the TV show. Nathan and I are going to watch the episode Halo, and we will discuss it as the scenes unfold on screen. We encourage you to watch along with us, or you can just listen with through your podcasting service. Tomorrow or later in the week, we'll release an analysis episode where we'll kind of dive into specific moments and details and scenes and kind of cover them a little more critically and go from there. If you're new to just Halo TV Plus in general, it is part of Evolved, which hosts a variety of other Halo podcasts like Podcast Evolved, HCS Pro Talk, Mission Debrief, and Builds with Blocks. You can learn more about each of those shows on our website, evolvedhalo.co or halopodcast.com. Evolved also hosts another exclusive podcast called I Would Have Been Your Podcast, which is a Patreon exclusive for our subscribed patrons. If you're not a patron and you want to learn more, you can head over to patreon.com/haloevolved. But patrons receive a variety of exclusive rewards such as early episodes, access to our original 18-song soundtrack, unique swag, and access to our private Discord channel. Shout out to our current subscribers. Thank you guys so much. You guys keep the lights on, and it keeps us pumping out more episodes. So thank you guys for your continued support. So Nathan, as a fan of the show, you know we start every episode recapping the last week's episode to lead us into this episode. Can you give us a recap of episode 7, Thermopylae?
I would be happy to. So in last week's episode 7, Thermopylae, we kind of start with John and McKee. They had just touched the artifacts at the end of the last episode, Onyx. They're kind of now transported to the Halo rings in their minds, and they're talking to each other, and it's kind of, we know that they had a bit of a romance arc in the first season, so I was really hoping it wasn't going to go that way, and it didn't. John is having none of it. McKee is very much wanting to rule the Halo with John. John can't get over the fact that she was, on Reach, and all these people died, so they're having a bit of an argument about that. They both kind of go back to their respective places, with McKee on the Covenant ship, and John back to Onyx. John's looking around for his armor. He's trying to find Ackerson to get his armor back. Ackerson's running some simulations about the spike as well, and he realizes that the spike that the Spartan 3s are meant to deliver to the Covenant ship is not actually just meant to disable the ship, but it's actually a bomb, and that it will destroy that ship along with anything around it. So it's a definite suicide mission for the Spartan 3s, and he's not happy about that. So he tries to expose Parangoski. By the end of the episode, he is helping John, and Parangoski sends him away because he realizes that he can't be trusted, and he is trying to undermine her authority. Kai and John have a moment where Kai, apologizes for what she did and beating the crap out of him in the last episode, and she, tells him to get to the Halo, and she's gonna go with the Spartan Threes to deliver the spike. And there's kind of this moment where Chief kind of recognizes that might be the last time they see each other, but a good moment for sure. Meanwhile, Soren and Lara are attempting to rescue Kessler, who's apparently in the Onyx Spartan training camp, being trained to be a Spartan 3, maybe, question mark. It's been like a week, so probably didn't get to augmentation. So anyway, Kessler is sort of, in the middle of this training arena, where they're going to be essentially rushed by a bunch of these very, big adults with batons to beat the crap out of them. And that just seems a little bit strange considering the fact that they're like 10 years old and have no augmentation. But anyway, Soren jumps in, defends Kessler, and then Kessler and Lara get taken away by some of the other guards. So that's where we kind of leave that plot line. Meanwhile, Quan and Halsey and Miranda are underneath the Onyx base and the excavation site, the Forerunner site, trying to decipher the puzzle. Quan has a moment where she kind of figures out where all these, she remembers all these sort of carvings on the cave from before, and she's realizing that the pattern on the Forerunner door they're all trying to figure out she can crack herself, so she gets that. And she is able to open up that door, which leads to a little Forerunner lab on a light bridge, which is pretty awesome. We see that underneath Onyx is actually a big Forerunner city, and that's actually a really cool moment that is totally in line with the lore. And there they find what appears to be a dead Forerunner corpse lying on the ground. But with that, they're holding a little object in their hand, and they pick up the object, they escape as it crumbles, as the lab is sort of falling apart around them, and that's where we kind of leave that plot line. But Quan realizes from the star chart turning red that she appears to have knowledge of the flood that we'll get to in this episode, but definitely, Quan's kind of freaking out because she's realizing that she thinks the flood is upon them, and in this episode we will eventually see that she's not too far off. So that's where their kind of plot ends. Lots of different things going on in that episode. Then eventually we have Chief jumping in his Pelican to go towards the Halo ring, where Maquis is being chased by the Covenant fleet, and she's going to the Halo as well. The Spartan 3s are about to be deployed, and we cut with John looking up at the Halo ring. Took 17 episodes, but we're getting to the Halo.
Took 17 episodes to get here, but we're here. So, but yeah, great. Thank you for that recap. It was very thorough, and it really leads right into this episode. I didn't have the time, but I really wanted to watch Thermopylae and Halo back to back, because I do think the way that these episodes are sort of edited together, I think it would flow very nicely. And I'm interested to do a rewatch where I kind of watch everything, maybe in a day or two, because the way this show is kind of edited together with cliffhangers and stuff for each episode, I think it would flow really nicely for a multi-episode watch sort of event. Yeah. So, well, with that, would you like to begin our commentary, Nathan?
Absolutely.
Now, Nathan and I don't have commercials, so if you're listening and watching along with us and you are a subscriber with commercials on Paramount Plus, you'll have to pause our episode to kind of stay mostly in sync with the on-screen action. I will count us down, and we'll press play when I say play.
All right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. So we'll start off. This is the recap that you just described. What were your overall opinions kind of after watching this episode, kind of waiting a week for the finale? What were kind of things going through your head during that week?
Well, I'll be honest, by the end of Thermopylae, I think my heart rate was up. I was watching it, and the music was there, and Chief's at the Halo, and the Spartan 3s are about to be deployed. it was such a moment where I was like, oh, like I wanted that last episode like right away. It definitely kind of built a lot of momentum going into the end of this episode, and I thought that was really, really well done. It really got me excited to see Chief back in his suit as we see him there. Um, I mean, it did take a lot of episodes, probably more than it should have, but it was definitely neat. And then wanting to see where things went with the Forerunner plot with Quad and Halsey and Miranda, and kind of seeing where that was going to go. I think seeing that Forerunner lab with the light bridge and, you know, the underground city, that was the first time that it really truly felt like a Halo show to me, because that kind of imagery and architecture is so Halo, and it just, there was something about it that, you know, compared to like The Rebel or even Reach, like there was something that just so Halo about that sort of set piece, and that really got me excited. So
Yeah, when the light bridge sort of happens and they cross it and we see the door and that kind of pyramid sort of formation, like, yeah, that's very iconic, kind of just like Halo architecture for the, you know, the Forerunner on the rings. So yeah, I definitely had those feels. And then of course at the end of the episode when we pan up and we see the Halo ring in space there, that was also really cool. So here we are opening the episode. We have Chief talking to what we learned to be the monitor of the Halo. We wouldn't recognize it by his voice because it's not our favorite Tim Dodabo who voiced 343 Guilty Spark in the games. But I think that's okay. Personally, I think it's probably just, you just give him a different name and it's totally fine. This is a different universe and all that. But I do think it's a missed opportunity. I'm not sure maybe what their decision with that was, because we do have Cortana and with
Jen Taylor. But I feel like even if it's not Tim, you could have totally still just like made it sound more robotic or AI-ish. Like I feel like that could still be done. Like there's many people that could do, you know, C-3PO, right? If they just do enough sort of modification to their voice, but it just sounded a little bit too human. I think they could have made it sound, even with a different voice actor, they could have made it sound a little bit more like a monitor. But that's
maybe
just
so.
my opinion. But yeah, it's interesting. This scene was kind of interesting with a fangirl of Miranda,
or a fangirl of Halsey, really.
Yeah.
And then Miranda's just kind of like, I'm here to do my work, lady. Like,
leave me alone.
Yeah. But yeah, we kind of leading into the scene, we got the molecular, telescopic view of the flood starting, and I mean, how soon or when did you make the realization? Like almost immediately, or did it take you a few scenes to know that was the flood?
I feel like I watched it at the end of the day on a Thursday, and I'm pretty sure I had seen a spoiler online, so I had a bit of an inkling that that's what was going to happen. But
gotcha.
So yeah, it wasn't a total shock because I did kind of expect that it was going to happen, but it was definitely still cool to see like how that panned out on camera.
Yeah, I like how it's showing you effectively the origin in the Silver Timeline sort of way. I didn't quite piece it together until it cut from the telescope angle to Miranda looking at it, and I'm like, oh, she's looking at the spore, and then the other character, I'm not sure what her name is, but she says, oh, well, things can activate it by this, that, and the other, and I'm like, oh, this is the origin of the flood. And then we get this sort of montagey scene where we see it start taking over her cells and her biology and her vision, and her hearing starts getting impaired and heightened, and her hair gets disheveled. I just feel like this whole sequence was very creatively done well, I think, because we don't really have this type of interpretation. Kind of the closest we get is keys, and like there's a what's it called, a terminal, I think, in CE that kind of goes through Keyes's internal thought process of getting taken over by the flood and turning into, I think, a proto grave mind. and
Yeah.
like that was a really cool and like visceral like terminal,
Ooh.
and to kind of yeah, and then this happens. She
Ooh.
stabs him with a freaking pin.
And a lot of people are just like walking by. They're just like, do
Yeah, I
do do
was waiting for
do.
like a scream to happen, so where like they would look over and then it would do that thing where they
Yeah.
turn over a scream and then you have a hard
Yeah,
cut and it's like
I was watching
Halo.
this with my dad, and with that kind of like happy music, he was like, "Is this gonna be a musical episode?" I was like, "Oh no, no!" But no, I think it was interesting. I think, oh, I love the intro. I'll be the eighth host to say that I love the intro.
Yeah.
um, I do think that the flood infection method or like mode in this episode is the only thing that kind of is different than the games, but it's not unique in the canon. Like if we think about like ancient humanity finding the flood in like that powder dust and eating the animals, and then they started to get more aggressive and like that kind of thing. I think that makes sense, but like the flood in the games would infect you by an infection form. Like there was no like I got bit by a flood infested human and now I'm also infected. It was infection forms, right? So that part of it to me is a bit of like a different vector for infection, but it's interesting to see it.
Yeah, I think it still works, and but it
Yeah.
because it's almost seems that like interacting with that device that kind of let out
Yeah.
the spores kind of was the initial contact to that woman, and then from there it's kind of the typical quote unquote zombie sort of biting infection. So
Yeah.
well, we'll talk about it as it spreads through the facility because I think that progression is done very well.
Yeah.
This scene was took me by complete shock because we are getting ready or motivating everybody, and then the condor just gets blown up, and
Boom.
I was just like, "Holy cow!" Like that's
I
the exact
love that there's no
opposite.
sound in space.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, I love this. I was just completely like, "Oh, holy shit!" Like
yeah.
they're screwed.
Yeah, I like the visuals, I like the audio, I like that I love throughout the whole season the in the helmet shots. I think they're so cool, and I think um like season 1 we had some like HUD shots with like the chief like in his helmet with his shield bar going do 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 do, and we had like the motion
Yeah,
tracker and stuff like that, but those were a little bit corny. This HUD shot is actually really good. Like I think this is really well done, and again, I think they did save 80% of their CGI budget for this episode because it looks great.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure they had a lot of budget considerations, and that's probably why like the Fall of Reach was pretty
Yeah,
much contained to one episode. But yeah, they definitely go all out, and it's actually a testament to I think the creators to where when they have the money and they do the vis effects, they are able to sell it because
yeah,
Reach was a really good episode. Halo is a really good episode because it gives us a lot of moments from the games, and the games it's an action first person shooter. So
yeah,
it's nice to kind of see them do these sequences, I guess, justice to the games.
yeah.
So
And I think this even looks better to me than the simulation one did. And I think it was the sixth episode where like Perez is like in the simulation trying to board the
yep.
ship. This looks even better than that. Like it was comparable, but I think there was something different about how this particular scene looks like on the edge of the ship that just makes it look a lot more realistic. But and when they were like flying through space, like dodging their dead comrades' bodies, I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
And then, yeah, just the debris and the plasma. And I mean, even standing on the side of the hull there, like you can see other Spartan 3s just floating there, just motionless, just presumed dead.
okay. Here's my gripe. I don't believe at this point in the actual timeline that they would have been able to communicate this well between systems. Like they are nowhere near each other right now, and Parangoski and Chief are just having a real time conversation. Like they're in different systems. She's on Onyx, and he's by the Halo, and they're just chatting like they're on the phone. but I feel like there was not that level of communication through subspace or even like that far in lifetime. You know what I mean? I feel like that's, again, just like a tech thing that they probably didn't think of too much, but
I mean, that went completely over my head. I think I did make a note where I was just like that they're not just like outside Onyx, like that planet is not
no.
Onyx.
No.
So I did make that, idea or connection, but it didn't really occur to me about their dialogue and stuff. But I mean, to a degree though, the show kind of needs to take a liberty to
Oh, 100%.
interact with
Yeah.
these characters, so that, because I mean, even in the last episode, you have them talking to the Spartan threes right before they get deployed and then
Yeah.
get all killed, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
send in another one," and then Ackerson, resists and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, can we pay attention to how little deformed Soren's hand is? Sorry. Compared to season 1, he's like, it's just so different, but I get it.
Really, a different prosthetic, perhaps.
Yeah, it just looks a lot more functional. Maybe it's healed. I don't know.
So this episode, I think we're gonna like the last episode's analysis with Tom. We're probably gonna talk of. I have a fair bit to say about Quan. But we kind of hit the ground running with these two characters, right? Like they are back at the ship. They're restocking. Soren needs to save Kessler again and save Liara, and Quan's just talking about this monster and how her father would talk about this monster, and it's kind of it is information we already knew, but I guess the context is now finally here to where things are starting to click together.
Yeah.
And I do kind of like how Quan finally has that sort of like determination and seemingly purpose and like personal character goals. And I just kind of wish we got to this point in a better way, because it just wasn't developed. And we could talk about this more when we get to the kind of underground scene that happens later. But this is a creepy when the freaking parasite crawls out of her mouth and like goes.
See, that's a little infection form. Like that's what I would have loved to see a bit more of. Like not like in eyes and mouths and ears, because we definitely have that in this episode. But just like crawling on the ground, like that would have like made it like just.
I feel like I wanted that as well, but I feel like that's something we'll just get in like season 3. Like this is, I don't know, like I would have loved to basically get like, the library mission from Halo CE, like in Onyx, where like they're fighting like just hordes and waves of flood and all that. But like I think budget wise they just weren't able to do that, and to have the little crawling infection forms running around and popping into dust. Oh, but man, it would have been so freaking cool. But maybe they save that for season 3. So I know what you mean for this, when they're like patrolling the ship. It does look better than
grunts. Did you catch that?
Yeah, well, that was a grunt lighting I think it was lighting like a suicide
the
grenade,
only grunt in season 2 of Halo, I think.
No. Really?
When did we see we saw lots of jackals on Reach, but I don't think we saw grunts.
Jackals on Reach. We saw lots of elites.
We saw
in
Brute
other places.
But I think that's the only time we see a grunt in this season. I don't know. I think so. But
I don't know. I don't remember.
I didn't hear him screaming anyway, so I would have loved to have like a grunt just scream. I'm gonna get you. Throws the grenade. But yeah, I thought these were well done. I love all of like the sparks and the pyro that's actually real. That's not CGI. Like that just is so cool.
And like all the like the plasma melting as well.
Yeah.
Like it's not just sort of sparks and flashes. Like when their plasma weapons hit surfaces and hits the Spartans, like there's like a little like magma plasma liquidy sort of debris. Like the effects definitely kind of went around. This I like felt this like when I was watching this, I was like, oh cool. They get reinforcements, it'll be a cool action sequence, and then it gets freaking glass, and I'm like, oh fuck, like Like, just like in the books.
It's definitely like a Halo Reach moment, like where remember where they like Matt Cannon the Spire, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, we did it, we won!" And then like the super carrier above just like shreds it from above, like same kind of feeling as that, which I was like, "Yep, that's what it should feel like." Like that's
no, and I really felt that. I was just like, God damn, because like even in episode 1 when like they're evacuating Sanctuary and like oh yeah the Condor's getting away, and then it just gets blown up and you're just like, oh, it hurts.
I was talking with a couple guys from the podcast, and I called with Curtis a bit, and he was saying how all of the ships that were in the fleet there were like they're all Halcyon class. Like there's no other like frigates or other things. And I was like, yep, that's a little detail that I probably wouldn't have picked up on. But they're all like the one class of ship. There was no other ones, but I think they're the same class of ship that the Pillar of Autumn is. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think so too.
And then this coin that he's...
Yeah, this was a cool little moment.
Yeah, this coin that he's flipping with is kind of cool, but I think it's... That's about as emotional as I wanted Chief in this episode. I'm happy that that's as much as we got. The rest is just Chief. I mean,
we get emotion, like but it's Chief emotion.
Yeah,
where he's like, I'm determined to kick some ass, and I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah,
and I care for he is headstrong and like he determined to do what he wants to do. Like, and he tells Parangoski, he's like you don't know what I can do.
Yeah.
And like I'm gonna go do it.
You have no idea how high I can fly.
Yeah. So it's it was great.
Yeah.
So and I'm glad we have this Chief, and later when he has Cortana and all that, like we're getting to what we want to see.
Yeah.
Or I guess what we're more familiar with. You know, because I mean I think there are some great character moments that Chief has throughout season 1 and season 2. But at the end of the day, us fanboys, like we want to see badass Chief in the armor fighting everything in his way. So
yeah.
I like McKee and Katana still. Like I think this, putting them together, I think is a character dynamic that I think I said this on another one of the episodes, is like something that I wasn't expecting, and I'm kind of happy that they did it. I think it's a cool little connection that the two of them form, this bond that they have over these last few episodes. And but McKee just is like, well, once I'm done with you, I don't need you, because my purpose is on the ring, and I don't need you on the ring.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think well, this is kind of funny. It's funny that McKee thinks that Cortana can be killed with a little stomp of her boot on her. Also, where'd she get those heels from? I know. But I will say I was skeptical of Cortana's new look in the first time that we saw her and on Visegrad, or I think it was Sword Base or whatever. But I do think it's a step up from last season. I do actually like it better. I've grown to like it more.
Yeah, I'm indifferent. I mean, I liked season 1. I thought it was an okay interpretation, and season 2 is more canon correct, I guess. So I don't really mind it.
This moment where Kai picks up the pistol and she has one shot left. Shit, I'm out. I was like, seriously? Yeah. We only see her shoot one bullet, and that's the only one that she has left. But anyway, it was just funny. It was cool to see the carbine. Yeah, that was awesome.
And when she picked that up, I was like, oh, dual wielding confirmed.
Yeah.
Halo TV show.
Spartan 3s can hold 2 needlers.
But I also like this moment because like when I was watching it, I was like, oh yeah, that's just like me when I'm playing the games. I run out of ammo and I pick up the Covenant guns.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's a fun little kind of nod, and I even liked Kai, like, you'll always remember your first time.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, poor Perez. I thought she was a goner. I didn't think she was making it out of this. At this moment, I was like, all right, we built up a connection and she's gonna go.
So going into this episode, I was like, man, Kai and Perez are going on a suicide mission. Like, I don't want either of them to die. Like, they're probably like the two characters that I care about the most in terms of like going into battle and you know, not necessarily having plot armor.
Yeah.
And they very well could die and all that.
Yeah.
So I was feeling it a little bit, but I don't know. I was like, well, there's still plenty of episode left. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that Perez kind of figured out what the spike did, and she's still going after it. Like, she was ready to sacrifice herself.
Well, I think she realized that it was a one-way ticket because she asked Kai, like, after they beat the simulation, like, everything just ended. And they're like, oh, yay. And it's like, well, wait, no, the Covenant should still be there. We should fight our way out. We still have to get out.
Yeah.
But the
This was
simulation
awesome.
didn't do that because you're supposed to, it's like you said, a one-way ticket. And then here we have Chief fighting elites and...
Yeah, I love that when Kai says, like, that's the chief. I was like, hell yeah, it is. Like, that's the chief that I've been waiting for. And I'll be honest, the first time I saw this, I wasn't, crying, but I felt it. Like, I was like, yes, like, this is the chief that we know as, like, the hero who defies the odds, who shows up for his team. And, like, yeah, it was a very, like, big moment, I think, where... yeah, that is the chief, right? Like, it was very well done. It's neat.
Yeah, and they have the little quips, but it's funny is because so like when I was watching this, like when he steps up to Kai, I literally was imagining Steve Downes' voice. And then Pablo Schreiber talked, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the TV show.
It totally convinced you that it was the chief from the games, and then
it really does. Like,
yeah,
when he's in his suit and the helmet's on, like he's Chief. You know, when he's outside of the suit, like, okay, he's Pablo Schreiber and he's John.
Yeah. I really liked this conversation a lot. I like Spartans never die, but sometimes they do, don't they? I was like, oh, yep, that's a cool thing. Like, yep, they do. Not today.
Not today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is cool.
No, this is just cool scene after cool scene. It's just all great.
Okay, here's the question that I don't know the answer to. How do they get Perez back out? Do they get it? Because Chief jumped there, did he not? I don't think he took his condor. I think he jumped. Right?
I mean...
because he went to the back of the Pelican, put his helmet on, and then that's the last thing we saw.
But they eventually are in... I think he's in a condor. I mean, he might be in a Pelican, but...
because my question is, did they like exfil by like jumping back to where the condors are, or was there a condor parked on the ship?
Maybe they had to jump to get to Chief's condor, but I think they go to Chief's condor, and that's how they effectively get out.
Yeah.
Whether it was parked there or they had to fly there, but they mentioned that they sealed her suit, or they needed to do something to seal her suit. So I think it's implied that they're able to do whatever space thing they're able to do.
Yeah.
So.
Creepy flood statues.
Yeah. There's a horror game that I've never played it, but I've seen like videos of gameplays and of stuff. And there's like this moment where you're walking through and like there's these mannequins all around. And like every time you whip the camera around and you don't look at the mannequins like move.
Oh.
And it's supposed to like creep you out or whatever. Like I've got like vibes from this scene with that. So, but the movements and everything, like it was all really well done, I thought. I think the way that it's being told is very exciting and horrific.
I love how calm, cool, and collected Kessler is the entire time. Like he's not even like Lara's freaking out, and Kessler's just like, okay, this was a wild spot. I was very.
Oh, when she squeezes through the bars. Oh, that was so good. I was like cheering her. I was like, yes. Oh.
Cheering her on. Yes, go. Break your bones.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, get out of there.
And then the tentacle.
And then like, oh yeah, the tentacle. Yeah, this is...
See, this is what I wish they all looked like, but they didn't have the CG budget to do it, I think. Like, the rest of them are just, like, smaller little growths. Obviously, she's further along in the infection process.
Well, that tentacle part... The tentacle part is all CG, but all the, like, bumps and stuff is VisFX makeup. Or special effects makeup.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's face, like I feel like that's all special effects as opposed to visual effects.
Yeah. But no, I definitely, like, yeah, it was wild to see that. The tentacle surprised me. I was happy enough with, like, the little growths and the weird bodies, but then the tentacle, I was like, there's the flood. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Kwan's now weapons trained.
Yeah, Kwan, in the 6 months, she's a super assassin.
Make her a Spartan
specialist.
3. Why not?
Honestly, she'd be better than most of the others. Her and Perez as a buddy cop Spartan.
I still think,
duo.
And we can chat about it for predictions, but I still think there was someone, I feel like one of the hosts that said that they felt that Kwan was going to turn into the Miranda from the games. And at first I was like, I don't know. But now seeing her do all this stuff, I'm like, I don't know. Like it. She's kind of.
Yeah, I forget which host said that as well. I don't want that.
No.
I still don't.
No, I think Perez could do that, but.
Well, I think Perez is becoming Sarah Palmer. I think that's the leading theory.
Looks like her too,
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But
this is.
I
cool.
like this moment with Halsey where Halsey's ultimately after herself and for humanity in general, and she doesn't care about Parangosky, and so she just chooses to help John because she knows what John wants. She wants Cortana, which is the greatest AI ever created, at least in this moment. And so I'm gonna miss Halsey. I feel like Halsey, we didn't see the best of her this season. I feel like she was better.
She was a side plot.
Utilized in season 2.
Yeah.
Or sorry, in season 1.
Yeah.
She was better utilized in season 1, and not to say that she was poor in season 1.
Yeah.
Gosh, in season 2, it's just she wasn't utilized the best way.
Yeah. Another flash forward here. I don't know.
I'm not a fan of the flash forwards. I think I
get confused by them.
I know what they're doing, and I get the kind of like creep anticipation and hype. And for us who know, like, did you know he was talking to the monitor pretty soon, or did you not know?
I think so.
Reveal?
I think I kind of figured it out, but it just, again, it's not. Yeah, is he being interrogated? Like, what's going on?
We just don't really learn anything. Like, it's just cryptic messaging, and it's like, what is going on here? And it's not until the last scene that we realize, and we'll talk about this, but like, I think it's when you find out, and this is the issue with Quan as well. When they give you the big reveal at the end, it should justify and make clear of everything that came before it. If you're trying to give that reveal. But in the Monitor's case, unless I need to like dial in on the dialogue, and in Kwan's case, like when we find the end reveal in this episode for both of them, like it just puts the context right then and there. It doesn't really give us context for the rest of the show. Really, it's just still kind of fragmented.
Ooh,
so I would have just rather him meet the Monitor and they just have a conversation real quick and then it ends and it's like,
yes,
awesome, I can't wait.
Yes,
because like all this flash forward stuff just wasn't doing it for me.
Yeah, I love how Chief's visor right there was like a little bit like blue. Did you see that?
Yeah,
like Cortana's like
I did notice that
in his suit now. That was really cool. I like that scene a lot, and seeing Chief go back. Oh, hi. Sorry, the flood surprised me again. I love when I love when Chief is like going back for Cortana. It felt like a Halo 3 moment where like he has to go back for her.
I had the same thought, and I was even like whispering to myself. I was like, "Can Cortana just say you found me, please?" That would be so good. but she
Don't
didn't.
make a
And I was
girl a
like,
promise if
oh
you know
well.
you can't keep it. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I don't know if that line would have made
I
sense in the
know.
context of the show,
Still
but
wish you would have said it.
I feel like she could just say, "You found me."
Yeah.
Like she
You
delivered
came
a
back
different
for me.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. And I was like, that would have been just a nice little nod.
Yeah. All right. I thought he was gonna leave him there. They totally got me there. He's like, all right, bye. I was like, oh, okay.
I was like, I was appreciative of the scene because I was like, oh, I know, like I kind of figured he's a chief character and all that, but I was just like, I like the hesitation and the kind of assholery that like Soren is giving him. So like
Mhm.
I very much like this play and that whole kind of character interaction. I thought was just great.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where that continues to go.
Agreed. Oh, we made it.
Here we are. We're on the
We're
ring.
on not like a Vision Quest Halo here.
No.
We're on the Halo.
30 minutes into the final episode.
Where did they shoot this? I can't remember. Was it Iceland?
I think it was Iceland.
That's really cool.
It's not Budapest.
No.
I don't think.
No, I don't think so. This was neat.
Yeah, I like the way that they are giving the ring, or the way they're visualizing the ring's regenerative sort of nature.
Halo theme. That's the one comment that I wish was a little bit better in the entire show, is that there was just more recognizable Halo music. And whether it's that Martin O'Donnell didn't let them do it, like maybe he said, no, I'll just give you the chant rights, but like I feel like there could have just been a little bit more, like in like
There's
the
the
battle
shot.
sequences. Oh yeah, it's a good shot. But like the battle sequences, like could you just do more, I don't know, classic like Halo music? Like can you imagine like the Warthog run kind of music in the background while the Chief's flying through space, or you know what I mean? Like just stuff like that
Yeah.
would make me feel it. But
I still think that the soundtrack I think is an improvement on season 1.
oh, for sure. Absolutely. There was actually a cool Halo music moment that we'll get to in a few minutes. That was very, very brief, but it was definitely a callback to specifically, I think, Halo CE.
So for a moment, I thought this was like the end of the episode, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is it! Like they're literally gonna leave us on this cliffhanger." And then it kept going, and I was like, "Okay, great." But I thought like we were gonna end with McKee and Chief walking to the thing, and like I think it's this shot here. I was like, "Is this the last shot over the water?" And it's just gonna cut, like, because it's a great shot.
It's a great shot.
And I was like, "Oh, okay, we're still going. Sweet."
Yeah, that's a cool shot.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of this is like not CG.
Yeah.
You know, like how much is just the natural beauty of Iceland or wherever. I don't know. Maybe they went to New Zealand.
Yeah, it looks beautiful, and I think this is not. I think the tower is CG, but I'm pretty sure the red, and obviously the the Halo ring in the background.
Yeah,
is
the Halo
CG.
ring.
They found an
probably
actual
the
Halo
extra-
to shoot on location.
Yeah.
Wow.
They probably added an extra row of mountains back there, but
Yeah,
the kind of mid-grounded foreground mountains are probably
that's neat too. The water reflection. That's cool.
yeah.
Oh.
All right, so we got Perez, or I kind of did an internal cheer. I was like, sweet, she
She's
lives.
alive.
She's alive, at least for now. But I was like, yeah, she's good.
Well, it would make sense for her to be Palmer because she's actually like a Spartan 4. As much as she's
Yeah.
Spartan 3, she's more of a Marine that then went into Spartan training. But
Well, depending upon what they do with Kai, like, you know, they need some type of new leader character. So
yeah,
it'd be a good character arc for her to kind of get up and assume some sort of leadership role and get some kind of determination, because I think Perez's overall like character has been a little more like PTSD, reserved, not really sure what to do, not to take action, and over the last couple of episodes she's kind of found what is worth fighting for.
mm-hmm.
And so I think I just want to kind of explore that more with Perez. And then here we have Kai making the ultimate sacrifice.
Just call her George.
In a way, yeah. George / Kurt.
Yeah, this was a really well done. Wow. I do think that destroying a single, as bad as big of a ship as that was, destroying a single ship like that probably wouldn't have been enough to turn the tide from the looks of things. But cool that it does, like from a plot perspective. But I feel
Well,
like
maybe not for the war, but you know, I think that
battle.
was the large super carrier for that battle. So like,
Yeah.
you know, with that out of the picture, maybe they can at least have some form of fighting chance in that particular battle, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the visualization, like, oh, look at all the green versus the red, and it's like, so.
Okay.
But all that's kind of short-lived. Now, something that I'm curious about is, like, does Miranda not know what's going on? Like, is she, like, I guess they're so locked down in their laboratory that they don't know what's spreading. And I'm just also kind of curious how she hasn't been exposed.
Well, she opened it inside that little box, and then I think the other lady touched it with her hand, but she's been keeping it in isolation. But I don't know. I kind of thought the same thing. Like, I feel like after the first lady stabbed the dude in the neck, I feel like that would have been the first, like, maybe we should be, I don't know, looking out for this kind of thing
around this. Yeah. So when this happened, I was like, holy shit, they're going to kill Ozzy.
But again, it's weird because these people are like fairly early on in the physical process. Like, obviously high infection form in the mouth. That's unpleasant. But like, they just look like really angry humans.
No, you're right. And I don't know. I kind of gave it a pass.
Yeah.
we would have preferred to have more flood form going into that lady's eye. Oh, and so here's our, I guess, second. Well, I don't know if Kai is a death, but I guess Parangoski's our first confirmed dead.
Do you think she's gonna die, or do you think she's gonna become a proto Gravemind, like Keys?
So I did have the same thought. And I think it's just up to how they want to tell the Flood story. Because if they need a character to speak for the Flood, then Parangoski could be that voice and that sort of character. I'm unsure about this Earth Mother woman that we're about to see and kind of where she ties into all this. Because she could also be some type of voice for the Flood. But I could see it going either way. I think it's like a 50-50.
Yeah.
I could see them just kind of ending Parangoski's story or doing something with the Gravemind or just kind of introducing an entirely different character.
Yeah. So this scene, I feel like I was watching a Left 4 Dead movie.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead or what's the other one? The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I liked it.
I know it's awesome.
I thought it was a great action. And then here I thought
there's the flood
holy
music.
Shit, they're gonna. Yes, the flood music was great.
It was there for like 2 seconds, but it was enough, and I was like, all right. Yeah, interesting. Okay, interesting. In the subtitles, they call that lady the Mother. Did you see that?
Yes, the mother. Yeah, well, I've been calling her the Earth Mother, but yeah, she's some type of mother, and it's revealed here that she is protecting Quan because Quan has a purpose.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the whole Gene Song thing, gay ass, I think that's probably the best explanation for this because she knows what the flood is because ancient humanity knew what the flood was. But I also wonder, like, why does she have control over the flood? That's a confusing part to me for a moment. But I think in this timeline, it could be, and I've seen this said by others online, it could be that they're going back to a Bungie understanding of Forerunners and humanity, that they're like related, and that she's kind of a Forerunner and a human in a way. I don't know. It definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board with that. My biggest critique, which we'll get into in the analysis, is that I just we should have seen more of the mother character through Kwan's perspective throughout the season.
Yeah.
Because we got it, the first time we see it is on the Alaria planet,
Or
and it didn't really make any sense. Well, no, we not through Kwan.
Oh,
we saw
Kwan.
her on
Yeah.
Sanctuary, but through Chief. But we didn't see her through Kwan. The first time we see it through Kwan is on Alaria, and then we see it only briefly again when they arrive at Onyx to go through a well, and then that's basically it. So we'll get into it in the analysis, but those are kind of my thoughts about how they could have really fixed a lot of the issues of Kwan by just having more of the mother.
Yeah,
giving these little things. But to talk about the scene that's happening, I love how Halsey is like, this is amazing, and everyone around her is like in pandemonium and literally dying and like getting infected.
Classic
and
Halsey.
She's like, do you not see what this is? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just classic Halsey. Like I miss you. Like I feel like I haven't gotten you this season. And then she freezes, and then it's like, oh. Well, that was an interesting case.
I don't know how they're going to get out of this one, because there's no cure for the flood. That's the whole point.
We'll talk about it on analysis.
We sure will.
Yeah, but yeah, this was an interesting choice, and I feel like it might be motivated because also a few more characters die that we'll see in a moment, and it's like I think they're getting rid of characters, so then the next season when they focus on other characters, there's not all these other different threads that they have to go.
Right.
So
yeah, it's interesting. This was a sad moment. I felt this one. I did not expect it. I was like, oh yeah, what is she doing?
When she shut the door, I like audibly was like, what are you doing? Like, what could you like? Are you really gonna sacrifice yourself to save your family?
You think
like,
you're gonna stop
You're behind
them?
A blast door. Yeah, I was like, you have no gun. And then when she held up her arm, I was like, oh fuck. Okay. And then I started having the feels. And I was like, yeah, okay.
Soren has motivation for being more than a space pirate. That's what I felt. I was like, all right, this isn't just I need to, become really rich and do all that. It's I need to get revenge for what happened to my wife. That's such an awful thing, because that but
also
she's gonna die, but like it's just such an awful way to die.
I had as well. I was like, do they want to bring her back? And she's also a flood form on Onyx. Like, that would be painful.
That would be real. And he has to like kill her. Like, that would be awful.
Yeah, anyway. Or it would be. Well, we'll see. But yeah, that was a very moving scene. I thought that was. It hit me. I felt it.
Yeah. This was cool. When I was watching this with my wife, she was like, "Oh, haven't we played on that level before? Like that looks like something we played on." I'm like, "Yes, like this is what I mean. Like it looks like it's recognizable Halo, and that's what I love. Like it's the architecture and the environment." All right, this battle is awesome.
It's pretty cool for sure.
I like all the hand-to-hand combat, but the sword combat, I like the music. I like McKee's just watching her two boyfriends fight.
Yeah, right.
She's just like, who do I cheer for? I don't know who I like more.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What I really liked about this sequence is that like you really get like the Arbiter really demonstrates they're like, we are warriors. This is what we are literally like live for. And like you get that more so than the other elites that are just kind of more or less cannon fodder that we've seen. But like this is like he is going at it, and like it's and he's been building this up the whole season. Like he wants to kill Chief. It is for his honor and all this kind of stuff. And it's like I think the way they characterized all that I think was really well done and true to the canon. Yeah. So it was really enjoyable to watch this.
Yeah. And he just looks so good. Like the CG behind his character, like the mocap, the everything. Like it's It's so, yeah. Did you notice Chief's number got smoldered off his armor there? His 117 that was on his
I did
breastplate.
not.
I think that's where he hit him, so it's gone now. I think he still had it before he got hit.
How will we know who he is now?
I don't know. The grapple shot was a cool moment. That was neat.
Yeah, I noticed when he put the armor back on, the grapple shot was still there, and I was curious if that was
broken now.
Back, and I'm kind of glad. Yeah, then he just sliced it. So, but yeah, I thought that was a good little touch.
This reminded me of the cutscenes from Halo Wars 1 with what's his face, Forge and the other Arbiter.
Oh yeah,
where he's like hand-to-hand combat, and then Forge ends up stabbing him in the neck, and that's what kills him. Oh, I like the mandible being broken. That's cool.
Yeah, the mandible is. Yeah, it does not look good.
No, this is when I start to actually feel bad for the Arbiter. Like I don't know. There was a moment where I just looked at him and I was like, damn, like, yeah, like in the Sangheili like culture and world, to have been beaten this bad by a human, like he's shame.
I agree. Like when he said like, you know, restore my honor and like you have to kill me. It's like but it's. I don't know, but it's good at the same time. Like I love it, but also feel it. You know, it's just, this is a great moment.
Yeah. What is a
soldier when he can no longer fight? Yeah, exactly. So,
Maki's emotions are a little bit much for, I don't know. Like she didn't love the Arbiter. Like I know they were connected with she branded herself, which is interesting, but the Chief's just like, no, you killed Vanek.
Well, I think it.
You're good.
I think it just kind of goes. I mean, McKee's kind of a complicated character.
Yeah, I never know what general
because like she hates humanity, she loves humanity, she hates humanity. Like she doesn't like the Covenant.
She just wants her own thing.
Her character is a little wishy-washy, so it is a little odd, but generally I kind of get it. I mean, and she did the brand, I guess. So I don't know. I'm wondering where these guys are going, but I kind of like that this is the party that we have.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, Ackerson, Quan, and Kessler, and Soren.
Yeah, I guess we don't know where they're going at all. The Rebel? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Where do you go after this?
And now is Onyx just like infected? Like, I don't know. Like,
I think so.
Yeah. But like, it's a shield. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, Miranda and Halsey are the only two left.
I mean, I have some theories that we'll get into.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll kind of see how it goes. But here we have Miranda cryo sleeping Halsey, so then it slows down the infection, and now I guess Miranda's on a quest to find a cure.
Wake me when you need
me. She just basically locked herself in this lab.
Yeah, I know. And we don't go back to that. This is a cool shot. Kai in
that's
space.
A great shot.
Classic Halo Infinite.
Gave me Linda vibes.
Yeah. Infinite floating
Linda
in space.
Oh, that too. Yeah, Chief floating in space for Infinite.
And I think he's floating at the end of Halo 4 as well. After Cortana blows everything up. They go pick him up.
They go pick him up, he's just floating there?
Yeah. Now, pay attention. I think the side of his helmet that's broken here is the opposite side that's open in the last scene.
Yes. And again, because this is a flash forward that we see him talking to the monitor, it's like, okay, well, we missed something. But I love this moment just to talk about this. Like all the other installation sort of like pieces are coming in, and then you see just the glimpse of the UNSC, and she somehow teleports up there. But you see that like the presence is starting. So like there's going to be a military presence on the ring. There's bound to be Covenant presence on the ring after that battle. Yeah. So like it's really setting up what, either a Halo Infinite or a Halo CE type of kind of like occupation.
Mm-hmm. And is that like a panel that only Reclaimers can hit? Is that a thing?
I would assume so.
She said, I'm a demon too. That was a good line, but I was like, what do we mean that by demon? Is it like a Reclaimer, or is it like, yeah, probably that, but
That's how I interpreted it.
Again,
because it's not like she kills people.
No. How much further away is this event? Like, I just wish there was like a timestamp. Just tells me when this happens.
Yeah, so this is the last scene, I think. So we're about to get the reveal, and what I do like though is that they're talking about McKee.
Yeah.
And the monitor is like, well, I'm not sure who to trust. And what's also interesting to kind of think about is that right now they're the only two Reclaimers, whereas in the games the monitor could just use any sort of human. So it's if the monitor's goal is to activate Halo, it'll be interesting to have the dichotomy between the two of them.
Yeah, I don't mind his look there. I think that's okay.
Oh, I love his look. Yeah. I think it's great.
He said it is awake. I assume he means a grave mind or the flood, which means that now there's going to be two different flood
two fronts
infections.
Yeah, so here we see the visor's cracked on the left side, but then it's completely
fine on the right,
shattered on the right side. So yes, something happened, and maybe he fought the flood to get there. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a cliffhanger, but yeah, it's good.
But what was also cool, I don't know if you, I think it's Escalation. There's a comic panel where I think it's when Chief fights the Didac after Halo 4.
Yep.
In where like I think the Didac cracks his helmet to where you only see
very similar shot.
The so I don't know, maybe the Didac's down there.
Oh man.
I don't know.
Just keep the lore blender running full speed, eh?
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I'm open to it as long as they give us a compelling story,
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah. Imagine there's a cryptum on a Halo ring and they're like, many different ways that they could go.
All right. Well, that's Halo. That's the last episode of season 2. And yeah, I guess how do you feel? How do you feel watching it? And you've seen it a few times, but like, did you get a sense of closure that you would get at the end of a TV season? I mean, we obviously want more because we're big fans and all that, but like, just kind of generally, how did the ending of the season sit with you after either the first or second or third watch?
I feel like if it had been a direct scene with like the Chief walking into the Forerunner Spire and then meeting 343 and saying like, hello Reclaimer, and then that would cut, I would have felt a little bit better. But with this kind of like flash forward, it's like, wait, what am I supposed to think is going on? Or like, I don't really kind of know exactly what is happening, but it's a great cliffhanger. But I wonder if it's obviously it's meant to leave things open because they want to film more, and I think they hopefully will get renewed for a third season. But it was an interesting note to end on, to kind of not exactly know what's going on. I feel like I would have had a bit more I guess just like I said, like closure, if it was more just like he walked in, he saw the guilty spark or whoever the monitor is, and then he just kind of like says like, oh hi there, and then it would have cut there, because then it would have been not quite as many questions per se about like what the heck is going on. But yeah, I think overall, like the action, the fact that we're on the ring, we have, both the UNSC and Covenant there, like very excited for what next season could look like, with just a lot of questions about how they're going to tie up the Onyx plot line with the flood there, and whatever's going on with this monitor, and why is he being like interrogated and questioned almost. Like, it's just it's a bit curious, but definitely like not maybe where I thought it would have ended before I watched that episode, but definitely interesting for sure.
Well, awesome. Well, I will kind of save my thoughts, I think, for the analysis episode, and we'll kind of tie into that. But I really enjoyed the episode. I thought it was very well done, and it was a good sort of final episode, and it does leave more to be desired. And a lot of deaths and leaving characters in certain ways, so it definitely went out with a bang. Mm-hmm. So I applaud the show. I think overall the season is just stronger than season 1, just kind of on a blanket scale. And yeah, I'm still a fan of the show and want to see more.
Absolutely.
Well, Nathan, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Halo TV Plus.
No problem. It's great to be here.
Halo the series no longer premieres on every Thursday, but if you want to rewatch all of Season 1 and all of Season 2, everything is streaming now on Paramount Plus. I think I'm due for a Season 2 binge watch, and I don't know if I want to squeeze that in before our next recording or not, but I'll think about that one. If you're interested, Paramount Plus also produces a Halo after show segment called Halo the Series Declassified that releases with each TV episode. This week for Halo, Sydney Goodman interviews Fiona O'Shaughnessy and Kiki Wolfkill. Fiona, of course, plays Liara, and they talk about that very emotional scene at the end there. And Kiki Wolfkill, of course, is, I don't know what her title is with 343. Actually, did she, technically leave 343? Because she was, head of transmedia, but she's the liaison between 343 Industries and the TV show, and so she's the executive producer of the show. Some interesting conversations just kind of about the show. They don't really talk about any Season 3 stuff, but mostly talks about what are her favorite moments, what did she want to do with the characters during Season 2, and kind of a little bit of behind the scenes there. And then some of the other sort of elements that they talked about on the show is there's some special effects talk and being on the ring and things. So a little more behind the scenes stuff for you to check out. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, you can find every episode to all of the shows that Evolved produces on our website, evolvedhalo.co, and at halopodcast.com. Also, don't forget to check us out on our social media like Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, another special shout out to all of our patrons for their continued support for Evolved and for helping make all of these shows possible. Head over to patreon.com/HaloEvolved to learn more. If you like this show, rate us and leave us a review. We greatly appreciate all the feedback we receive from our listeners to improve the quality of our shows. And finally, you can leave us an email at podcastevolved@gmail.com or a voicemail on our Google phone number 205-EVOLVED, which is 205-386-5833. And with that, I've been your host, Oran, and until next time, evolve!